And I'm doing a video on a project I started a while ago, several years ago now, and then I took a kind of a pause from it. Anyways, this is what I call zip to blue chip. So zip meaning you start out with zero, and blue chip refers to solid companies, solid stocks. Um, and here's my little logo for that: zip to blue chip. There you go. But what I did was, let me describe it like this. I was interested. I found many web pages where people would keep track of how much change they had. So if they make a transaction at a store, they have some change. They put the change in a jar, and they keep track of that. I was interested in that, but I'm more interested in investing rather than saving. So, and I'm not too concerned about. Okay, I'll put it this way. I wasn't concerned with change that I already had, like coming back to me at the cash register. I was more interested in kind of a metal detecting kind of vibe, but I didn't want to do any digging, so to speak. I was interested in the amount of change I could find on the ground, just normal everyday activities. So I didn't want to change my behavior a lot. I was just wondering, day to day, maybe the cafeteria at work I'd find 5 cents. I had a vending machine. Oh, look, there's a quarter on the ground. Oh, wow, I found a $5 bill here, And so I kept track of that type of information. Let me see if I can bring up my old page so you can see what I'm talking about. And let's see, here we go. Yeah, so I started it in, let's see, in March of 2012. Okay. And I ended the formal record keeping on this web page in July 2014. So let me start at the bottom. And so I just started keeping track of how much money I found. And then I talked about, kind of where I found it. And then maybe, excuse me, and then maybe my ideas for for investing it into stocks. So here's a picture of the first dollar that I made. It's actually $1.23. Dollar that I found. I talk a little bit about, ideas for valuing stocks and so forth. Okay, on and on and on. And then eventually from the stocks I have, I would receive dividends. Right? They would pay money to me. So it's kind of like I find free money, I invest it in what I think are primarily stable assets that then pay me money. Now, of course, along the way, I'm obviously paying taxes and stuff, but in a sense, it's totally free money because I'm not changing my behavior in any way. This is just noting, record keeping of how much money I find throughout my normal activities. But, this stuff was a lot to keep track of. I'd keep track of, what companies, the shares, the share price, the total, and dividends received, all that stuff. So it just got to be too much record keeping. So I stopped doing all of this record keeping. Here's a silver dime I found. Oh, here's a screenshot of some dividends I've received. And here's a picture of a silver dime that I found. So that was pretty cool. Anyway, so I stopped the formal record keeping in July of 2014. But I wanted to get back into this. So I started a little less detailed record keeping on April 24th, 2015. So now I'm just keeping track of the money I find, and that's it. I'm not keeping track of the stocks I buy or anything like that, or dividends received. So here's a graph. I just have this graph going from April 24th, 2015, all the way to April 24th, 2016. So I just started this project now. I'm about a month, a little over a month in. I keep track every day. I just type in how much I found. And this graph is a graph of that, just how much I found per day. I keep track of the average found per day, the total found. So that's a running total, and that's this graph. This should always be monotonically increasing, so either increasing or flat. It should never decrease. So that's a cumulative. Now what I do is I say, okay, if I found money, I give an indicator of 1. Otherwise, I give an indicator of 0. This just keeps track of the days. And this is a sum of these indicators over here. So if I divide, say, the sum of the number of times I've found money so far, divided by the days, that gives you, in a sense, a frequency or probability of finding money of 50%. Why? Because 4 out of 8 days I found money. So 50%. So I keep track of that probability over time. And that's one of my questions through this is kind of what's the long-range probability I'm finding money on any given day. And that's this graph here. There we go. Now it goes down here, of course, because, you know, kind of from here on hasn't happened yet. So it's just dividing this 26, that's the total number of times I found money so far, and it just keeps dividing it by more and more days. Okay, but as we go on in time, I'll fill in these numbers with either zeros or some dollar, or you know, some type of cent amount, and we'll get a good picture of what this actual kind of long-term frequency probability of finding money is. So again, these are just rows for every day for the next year out. Okay. So that's the main idea. You could also, I also have some other questions. So this probability is the probability of finding any money. That is, this indicator says if the amount found is greater than 0, say I found money. But I'm interested also in what's the probability I find at least, say, 10 cents a day or 5 cents a day. So I have these columns over here where now I change the indicator to say if I find more than 10 cents a day, give me an indicator, otherwise 0. Now that probability is obviously going to be a lot less, and I have one for 25 cents as well. Okay, so those are my questions that I have with this project. But really I want to see, to get a, you know, I want to get an idea of the amount found per year doing this and the probabilities, but also minimize the record-keeping burden on myself. And so yeah, so it's real easy. All I do is enter in, you know, so for example, if I find, today's the 2nd and I already found 1 cent when I went to a convenience store. But say tomorrow I find, you know, 5 cents. Let's put in 0.05, the graphs update, and there you go. All right, well, thanks for watching. I hope this can give you guys some good ideas of record keeping for yourself. And that's it. So I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.